I was going through some stuff and I found this. It is a one of a kind 1984 book of Michael Jackson, and you still see the gloss is still on it. And I might cry because being an empath, being guided by the higher, by God, being led by spirit, however you want to call it, it's all the same. It's just in different lingo, but I'm going to get a little bit emotional because as I touched the book and I thought about, ooh, should I put this on eBay? Who is this? Mary Wilson. Yes, Mary. It just has a lot of the, I guess, the innocence, but the shh, don't talk about it at the same time. Where is Michael's pose? There it is. Oh. And so as I was skimming through the book, there's one more picture I want to show everybody. Not that one. I was led to something very, very interesting. And it will shock you guys. There's the photo. I looked at this photo and it hit me. It was this in the background as well. It was the phoenix in the background. Or was that a griffin? I don't know. But I was looking at that and words were in my head that said, they don't really know my truth. And I was like, Michael? The thing about it is when I never really told anyone this on my channel because it's kind of hard to, a lot of people turn off to this stuff, but it's like if you're going to pray, if you're going to channel messages, if you're going to prophesy, if you're going to be psychic, if you're going to be a Sufi, if you're going to palm read, tarot read, if you're going to preach, you're tapping into a energy level of which that scares me. I was like, oh no. You're tapping into source. Source has so many different stories and teachings and mystery. So there isn't just one thing. So a lot of times that's why on my channel I stay away from opening the book and reading scripture, and then if things resonate with our day and I receive a message and it's prophetic and it needs to come out, I will have a reference. But there's a lot of people who are still a little bit sensitive, but there are also people who are more on the outer limits side of the retrospect of our metaphysical, spiritual, and our Christ conscious walk. So I'm fortunate to tie it all in because it isn't like, oh, well, you get to choose what you want and then dismiss everything. So as I touched this book and I saw those pictures and I saw the phoenix, Michael said that they don't really know my full truth. I kind of didn't believe that he died. I believe that it was an act. This is just my own belief system, or my own belief, my only thought. But I do think that essentially there was some declining health issues, and I do believe that he passed later on than when he did. I think it was an act to get him off of the grid. Excuse me. I have my, here comes the channeling. I always get these when messages are coming in. But what I got was, and I'm stalling because it's hard. So we know the group of elites, and we already know. I don't need to go through all that. Mysterious booms. We don't need to go through all of that. We just need to know that when you sign up to what entertainers do, in the very beginning stages, they say, "Are you sure this is what you want?" How do I know this? Because I was asked a couple times throughout my adulthood. And the first time I was hesitant because I didn't know what I wanted to be. And they left. The second time, I had an awakening experience. And they didn't know that I knew about free will. And so I told the person, I said, "I don't want what you're offering, but thank you very much." But respectfully, that person is still in my timeline, not as a friend, but through, unfortunately, through services where I am an employee, that person works. I'm sorry, that person is a client. Have to respect the territory. But that person is very respectful. But that person also informed me that you have to, it's blood for blood. It's like, what is that song by The Weeknd? Am I gonna kill for you? Am I gonna die for you? Then I spill this blood for you. That's a real thing. Someone has to be exchanged. It's kind of like, I don't know if it's esoteric or, but it's basically when a soul leaves, that life force you can harvest and take it, but there has to be blood for it, and blood has to be shown. It's kind of sad, but Michael didn't want that. Michael didn't want someone to die on his behalf. Michael didn't want children hurt. He didn't want anybody's life taken. And so I had a premonition, but a visual. He was tortured. He was bleached. He was put in bleach baths against his own will. They cut his hair to embarrass him. They punched and beat him up. It could have been sexual harassment. They did a lot to him because he would not offer anybody. He would not give anyone's name for sacrifice. And if you realize, you look in the history of Michael's paper trail, there hasn't been any deaths around him that would make you say, "Oh, well," because you think about Ariana Grande, her grandfather passed. Justin Timberlake, his grandfather passed. Jennifer Hudson, her cousin and her nephew passed. All these accusations where the suspects were accused, but we never heard the stories after. Same with these mass shootings, we never get to hear the stories of what happens to these people after. I thought it was a shame that Lady Gaga is performing at the MGM Grand. It's like, why would you want to perform there after the most devastating thing that happened 2 years ago? On Route 66, by the way. It's all in code. It's all there. Unfortunately, that's what happens when you are in tune to these higher truths. You just have to take it like a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt, a little bit at a time. But when you're on that higher level, that ninth dimensional level, it gets really saddening. And I try not to cry. It just sucks that I saw what happened to him. I can't imagine that the ridicule, the embarrassment, and the shame was his sacrifice. His body was the sacrifice. And essentially, they wanted his blood because he would not offer anyone else. I don't know if this is a true story, but this is just what came through my vision state. This is what I resonate with. It gave me chills from head to toe. His passing was on my mom's birthday. in 2008. So there's a synchronicity here. But he did not want to be white. He did not want to be light skinned. He did not ask for surgery. He didn't. He didn't want to lose his hair during the Coca-Cola commercial. It was all publicity. It was all the constituents around him that orchestrated everything. He was just a puppet, an innocent puppet. And when he wrote lyrics, he was monitored. They didn't want him to say too much because he was known for saying too much. Kind of sounds like me when I'm at work. I'm an artist, I'm an expressionist, but a lot of times I'm told to be silent. And sometimes we have to play the game or abide by the rules. I don't like to say play a game because this isn't a game, this is life. This is life and truth. But I just want to share that with everybody and rest in peace, Michael. And I saw some videos, where he's in Canada, still alive, but it doesn't dismiss the fact that it's a cruel world, and these people, I feel so bad for them. Like when Justin Bieber was falling off last year, I can only feel for him because it is his job to continue to get back up and make music because he signed a contract. Same with Chris Brown. He was just, but you just gotta keep doing it. You have to get to the very top. And I looked up to Jennifer Lopez at some point, and then I'm like, ooh, Jennifer Lopez, you have checkerboards on your stage and on your clothes, but I get it. And I always say, sometimes people feel they're at their own will, provide and take care of the whole family, and be their own sacrifice. And I wouldn't choose that path, but if it came to just the general discussion, would you sacrifice yourself for others? And that's something we all would do. Would it be your parents or yourself? What would you decide? So at some point we have to start having a little bit more compassion, regardless of what these people choose and what they do and their heinous acts and whatever. Kalika, she uploaded a really nice video about cloning, and I haven't gotten to that dialogue yet, though I know a lot about it, and I've had people who were in microbiology in China who, discreetly told me information. Maybe they were on the other side. I don't know. I don't know why people feel the need to. And also, I'm an empath, so I feel like no one can keep secrets from me. It's all gonna. But that's all I just want to share with you guys. A very warm-hearted video. And the courageous Michael Jackson. It's kind of fascinating. I would never have thought in the same week I would be getting resonance of Dolores Cannon, Michael Jackson, Alan Watts, JFK, and Franklin D. Roosevelt. Oh, the Roosevelt thing. I have to talk about that in another video. But there is, if you guys are still watching, there is a USS Roosevelt military plane. And it was almost kind of like the first documented low-flying craft that was unidentified. They didn't know the speed, the distance. They just know that it was on a monitor. And there was also talks that the Anunnaki had descended in 2013. So I kind of put that timeline together where something was interesting about the two. That's all I know. And I got a download about the military planes at night. It's really not about war drills and whatever. It was really about tracing and tracking where these ships are landing. It's kind of weird to talk about, but anyways, stay tuned for more tomorrow. I'll have a better dialogue. I'll have another video ready. A lot of these things I'm not prepared to talk about. There's no plan. It's not like I think about what I'm going to say. A lot of these things just come in and I just hit record. And yeah, it's just a little box that, you know, yeah, the little box. And I found this thing, and he was at the age of 25 when when he hit his, rock with you. I was actually born in '83, so this was his solo career had debuted that year. And he did Thriller. He was the #1 male artist, but I thought it was fascinating. 25 is 7.